Oh, probably do that. Get that open. I think we're live.
Why is it saying waiting for
Godot?
No, it says it's waiting for Cubs Out Loud.
Well, we're live on in YouTube.
Yeah, I clicked on the notification from YouTube and it immediately said that it was waiting on us. I don't know why. Perhaps I was too fast on the trigger.
Nope, mine says live.
What? Live chat. There we go.
There we are.
All right. And away we go. Oh, hey, Ginger. Hey, Eric. Hi, Drew.
And away we go.
Or not yet. We'll get the salutations. Greetings and salutations.
Yes.
Is salutations? Well, it doesn't matter. Anyways.
Mm-hmm.
You're showing live on YouTube. Thanks, Eric. All right. Let's start.
10 across the board.
COL Drag Race.
Hey, kitty girls. It's Monday, June 11th, 2018. Welcome to Cubs Out Loud Drag Race T-Time Season 10, episode number 11, also known as apparently 3 days after the finale has already filmed. What? Yeah, so social media kind of blew up about that. I've been trying to avoid all the spoilers because some people just got to be nasty bitches.
Oh. Yeah.
Speaking of bitches, whether they be nasty or not, my name is Gary. I'm one of the co-hosts here for the podcast, and with me are my ever two fabulous co-hosts.
Hey everyone, it's Damon. Welcome. Enjoy.
Yeah, I'm a bitch. It's Chester.
I'm a boss ass bitch. Sorry. Oh, one more. Anyway.
Oh my goodness. All right. So this week's episode was Evil Twins. Or at least that's the name they gave it. But we're going to get into that in a little bit. So, you know.
Also true.
All right. Mini challenge and basically just runway. I mean, there wasn't really anything maxi about it. I mean, you could say the runway, I guess, is a maxi challenge.
Yeah.
So mini challenges: resting brunch face, a cute pun name. I'm gonna hold my thoughts on that. And then the runway was evil twin looks. So that's what we had this week. We're down to final 5. So you got, Rosie Palmer and her 5 sisters. These are the 5 sisters, or fisters, whichever the case may be. And
I am wearing red.
Yeah. So let's just jump into this. I have a feeling we're going to have some very interesting things to say. Chester, what were your thoughts on the episode?
The mini challenge was odd, but it looks like Damon's going to be talking about that. So I'm not going to talk about the mini challenge because it's just weird. The only thing I will mention is Eureka eating the food while she was on there. Now, I do want to say that I've never once heard Eureka say anything bad or any comments in a negative light about her weight or how much she likes food or anything like that. So I don't really have much to add on that.
Yeah.
Just,
yeah.
It was just apparent she was doing it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're a big girl and you're always turning towards food as jokes. And now you're eating the food. And then I had to take a step back and realize, well, she's never complained, or she's never mentioned that she has an eating disorder or she's concerned about her weight. So she must not give a fuck.
Yeah.
I thought maybe she just didn't have breakfast that day.
Could very well be. And if anybody has paid attention to Willem's Twitter rants, was it Twitter, Instagram? I don't know. That stuff that came out a couple weeks ago where it talked about how much food they're getting. So maybe she isn't getting any breakfast.
Wow. Or she's not getting enough.
Or she's not getting enough. She's a big girl. You know, she needs a high calorie count.
I have to keep my girlish figure somehow. So I'm literally going to eat the scenery.
But as far as the Maxi Challenge goes, I felt that it was incredibly disconnected. I watched the episode twice, and I still do not understand what the challenge was. I kind of get a gist of it. I kind of get where they were going. So, in a manner of speaking, I don't necessarily feel bad for the queens not understanding fully or realizing what Rue wanted. Because even I, after watching the show twice, I still didn't figure it out. So there's that. And also, I want to talk about the terrible editing of having the good side and the bad side both on stage at the same time. And the judges are giving them their critiques the entire time. They're just nodding or shaking their head no or yes, or you've got Eureka in the background making jerk off emotion or motions, and it just felt incredibly disconnected. And then when they go and do the actual say who was in the top and who won the challenge and everything, that to me still felt incredibly disconnected. It was making my brain hurt trying to figure out where the queens were when they were doing that, who was watching, how did that work. It was just not very well edited.
Yeah. Of the two, like one person playing the same person in like a TV show or movie or whatever, it kind of fell really low. Like I felt like I know I don't watch like RuPaul's Drag Race for like high quality like production and whatever, but I still expect there to be, if you're going to do something like this, then you need to kind of do it right, or else, like you said, it feels odd. And that's I agree with you, Chester. It felt very disjointed. It felt very like someone in the like production team said like, hey, let's do this weird fun thing where we like record one side and record the other one and then put them together. Like, let's do that for this episode. And they're like, sure, let's do that. And then we get this. And yeah, it just felt really like it felt odd.
It didn't bother me that they did, that they had both sets of queens on stage at the same time. That I understood. It was just a way of them merging the film together, which I'm sure is probably not film. It's probably digital at this point.
Yeah.
But why weren't they talking when the judges were giving them critiques? Why were they not allowed to speak? That was the part that like threw me.
I think I know how they filmed it, And that was part of the issue that I had to talk about what you're bringing up, Chester, the editing point. The good queens were all done first or on a different day. And then the bad queens, the evil queens, were all done last. And that's when they were able to get critiques. So the good queens had to act. So they were probably told, I need a shocked face. I need a questioning face. I need a happy face. I need a sad face, you know, that kind of stuff. And the problem with that is visually, it looked so good. Like it wasn't, it's gonna fail me now. Not Freaky Friday, although that's more relevant for today's audiences. But way back in the day, the Identical Sisters, yes, the Parent Trap, where it was all done with like kind of this weird split screen thing, and like in essence, they were doing the same thing when they had all the queens on the runway. But that was the first thing I was like, immediately I was like, now how in the hell did they film this? Because I was like, they obviously aren't there at the same time in two totally different looks. And then it became super apparent. Like, so I guess because I was busy analyzing how they did it, I didn't see it as odd and weird, which makes a lot of sense. If I was too busy, like, and since I figured, oh, the left side of the stage, our left side as viewers, got done first. And then the right side was later. What I didn't like was the good queens being backstage and watching the evil queens get the critiques and finding out who wins. I was like, okay, now I'm completely confused as to who went first and who went second, because it seems like the good queens were told who won before the evil queens went on stage. I was like, wait a minute. Now I'm that's when my theory kind of got sideways, and I was like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
So speaking about the editing of the thing, Ginger says, why wasn't RuPaul's evil twin showcased on the main stage? It really seemed like a chance for Ru to show some vulnerability and a little more humanity.
Rude Paul.
Well, yeah, and rude. Well, anyways, I'll say that for a moment. So that's my only theory about the editing aspect about, but I can understand where you guys are like, it was odd, it was disjointed, it didn't make any sense. And I'm like, well, yeah, because they completely were done at different times, potentially different days. And especially if you're told to act certain ways at certain times, and then they splice it in to make it look like it's all happening at the same time. Yeah. So, Damon, your thoughts?
Okay, so I wrote down weird mini personal maxi. And the weird, okay. I don't know who they are like getting these ideas from, but this was a weird thing. Like I got the resting brunch face, and that was pretty much the only funny thing or fun thing about this mini challenge. It felt weird. I don't know why we needed a guest. I mean, granted, yes, Cyan Jackson, very handsome, you know, great, you know, whatever, blah, 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 blah. Get it. Like, good, like you're here. But it didn't make any sense in the grand scheme of things. Like, why is he here to judge, quote unquote, these pancake looks of, like, they grabbed brunch stuff and made, like, weird faces on pancakes and stuff. And again, it just seemed stupid. It seemed odd, and it didn't make sense. And then like he's eating, and they're giving him this little bitty piece of, like, I don't know what the fuck it is, because it's obviously not coming from the pancake that they're actually eating. And it's just like, why? Like, why couldn't he just judge the faces and go past them and then make a decision if that's what you're going for to begin with? And it just felt stupid, and it didn't make any sense, and it just felt really odd. It didn't have anything to do at all with what they were doing next. So the maxi challenge to me, again, I feel like it was unclear. like what they were supposed to do. Like, yes, you're supposed to come up with your evil twin, but it was more than just like your evil twin. It was supposed to be like the inner voice in your destructor, your inner voice, your what have you, that is kind of keeping you back or keeping you down. And I, while I understood that, I again don't think the queens understood that. And that kind of led to this very awkward, like everyone gave something different to me for the challenge. And also the one thing I always will dislike about these shows is it is very, very, very obvious that they are given a sheet of paper and it has like the start of a sentence for each of the things that they're supposed to fill out. And then they fill it out as opposed to just coming up with what they're meant to say. And I get why they need to do that for kind of continuity and whatever aspect, but I hate when it feels that way, that it feels like it's prepackaged almost.
I think that worksheet, which by the way, I think is one of the first times in all the seasons of any of the iterations that we actually saw the words on the paper of the thing they were filling out. So I was quite intrigued by that. I was like, oh, like we actually get like a homework worksheet kind of thing and you have to fill it out, which I thought was interesting. I think that saved their asses. Well, if it wasn't for that worksheet, I think they would have been very all over the place about the evil queen thing. I mean, they're having problems knowing whether it's their inner voice, their worst thoughts, their saboteur, or their saboteur, or their whatever. So, for me, overall, the episode was just not enough. The resting brunch face. So I'm going to go back to the chat. As Ginger says, cute pun, awful mini challenge.
Yeah.
Eric's like, worst mini I've seen in 3 seasons that I've watched so far.
Yeah.
I thought that the beginning, like the name of it was really, I was like, oh, all right, like pun game's on, like resting brunch face, got it, instead of resting bitch face. Then they explain what they're doing, and I'm like, okay. Then they go to do it. Eureka stuffs her face. Asia calls her out. I'm annoyed by Asia because I'm like, so what if the fat girl gonna eat? Like the other subline is Aquaria apparently is a vegetarian and can't even stand touching meat, like animal product. That was cracking me up. I was like, oh, okay. Like, while this is not like Survivor or The Amazing Race or
Fear Factor.
Thank you. I was like, what the hell the one was that they brought back? Fear Factor. I mean, I'm like, oh, come on. Like, it's not gonna kill you to touch something that's already dead and processed. So yeah, I just thought that was kind of like weird. So then they make the things and 2 of the queens or whatever, their like faces are not just faces, like they have torsos and things on the table. And I agree with you, Damon, that Cheyenne Jackson having this little itty bitty, what looks like a, I call them wedding favor mints. Yeah. I think they're called either cream cheese mints or like butter mints or something like that.
Yeah.
But it looked like a mini one of those, like on a little like appetizer fork. It was the stupidest thing ever. It irritated the fuck out of me. I was like, all right, so Cheyenne Jackson, I get it. Like, he's pretty and he needs to like watch his weight. And Rue ain't gonna fucking touch any of that goddamn food, apparently. So they give him this little ridiculous thing, and like he has to take. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? He's not even eating the stuff that's there. Why are we saying he's gonna taste your creation?
Yeah.
I'm like, no. What you should have done was which they never do, but they should have gone on location to Hamburger Mary's in LA and actually had them make up stuff, present it as the special of the day, and then see who actually is going to order their special.
Yeah.
And the whole crowd could have been plants. It doesn't have to be the real public. It could have been the crew, Rue's family, like Sarge's family, like whoever they could get an NDA from.
LA.
You know, that would be willing.
Yeah.
All the previous queens. I don't know. It's fucking season 10. You did it for the first episode. There's enough of them that moved to LA. I'm sure you could have got their ass to show up for that. I mean, who wouldn't want to see Pandora Box like shoveling, you know, parts of pancake and face in her face. I mean,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
that annoyed the fuck out of me. So just not enough. It was like, no. It was
It was weird.
It was weird. It was not good. I would have preferred crepes instead of pancakes. That's just me. And they were doing things with it. I realized they had a little bit of time, but I was like, everybody was using literally all the food to make the things like in their exact component. And I was like, nobody thought to take a berry and smash it and like make it look like rouge or I don't know. So
yeah,
maybe there were more rules we didn't know about.
Who knows?
Then we get to evil twin looks. Okay, so anyways, I believe Asia wins. She wins $2,000 to some fuckery. Obviously, it wasn't an important prize because I can't remember.
On Rodeo Drive.
Right, because that's what she needs. I'm starting to sound really bitter like a podcast I listen to who constantly bitches about all the prizes. Anyway. Well, they pointed out in past seasons. What was it? Sasha Velour won hair care products last season, and they were like, really, the bald queen, she gets hair care products, not wigs, hair care products. And I was like, and I was like, so now I pay attention all the time to who the fuck wins what.
She won hair care products and she won wigs.
Well, hopefully she can put
she's
the
bald
two together.
She's a bald queen.
Well, she does wear hair. I mean, granted, she might pull a stunt and put shit underneath the wig. Take off the wig, but anyways.
So the hair care products are for the fake wig.
And then just the evil twin looks, it just was not enough. I felt Asia and Eureka went to the line, but they weren't really crossing it. And this is why I'm frustrated by this. We are at episode 11. We're whittling down to the top 4. It's season 10. At this point, they should be pushing to boundaries they've never known. What they should have done, which I'm going to speak a little out of turn, what they should have done was brought in the Boulet brothers and made them work them over into their evil versions, a la the Dragula series that's been online, and made them like do some crazy ass shit. They should have brought back Sharon Needles and Acid Betty and, you know, these queens who were, you know, more kind of crazy and spooky, whatever it is that you want to say, you know what I mean? And really make them kind of go outside their box. Because the thing I didn't care for Asia, while I got it, and it was very opposite. Like she went from, you know, very light colors to all black. I mean, I got the balloon thing right away. Yeah. Michelle Visage was being a nitwit until the evil queen showed up, and then she got it. So yeah, I was just like, you really could have gone farther with this because you're too glamour. Like you're wearing feathers that are dripping and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, you should have come out looking like a dumpster on fire, literally. Like that was just kind of one of the weird things. That's what I mean by just not enough. I was like, yeah. And unfortunately, Cracker, she totally sabotaged herself. And now I'm like, oh, was it predictable? She won last week. She must be going home this week. Not that it happens every time, but it took you so long to win.
I want more. Yeah. That's the thing. Like Little Mermaid, I want more.
Yeah. So I don't know. It just wasn't enough in my opinion. Although now reading through the live chat, Ginger says, and why were most of the evil twins tribal based? She didn't like Cameron's look, but hers made sense thematically. Cracker and Aquaria made no cognitive sense. The episode was just yeah. We kind of talked about this a little bit in our COLDR Entourage chat about how fashion seems to be great has more significance to the winning. And it's really starting to get under my skin because I feel it's a disservice to queens who want to be queens.
Yep.
And have a hope that one day they might get on the race to be on a future season of Drag Races. You're going to need supporters, financial backers, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just in order to have couture or whatever. if you're a queen who does that, that's fine. Like Violet Chachki, we learned very quickly, cares a lot about that kind of thing and puts a lot of focus into it and has carried through with that ever since. But that's kind of a thing. And then she won. You know what I mean? Like, so like, was that sort of the beginning of the trend that fashion has to be the factor that matters? I don't know. So
yeah.
Eric, yes, a Boulay Brothers evil twin would have been amazing. Ginger, oh, I am all about the crossover episode for Dracula. Who knows? That might happen in the future. Although I did watch a panel of the Boulay Brothers this week from last fall's New York show, and they were talking about how theirs was not so much about being monsters, although they would call them monsters, but it was more about being the kind of avant-garde, freakish, non-norm kind of queen, which I find interesting because I'm like, oh, so are we saying in a way, are we critiquing that RuPaul's Drag Race has a specific kind of queen? And maybe if you're not of that ilk, you should be on their show and not the other show? I don't know. So yeah. Philip says in terms of the challenge, it wasn't the evil voice in their head. It seemed more like what RuPaul thought the evil voice in their head was. Ooh. I think Ru was in the workroom to tell them what they should come out. What should have come out on stage. Yeah, well, I mean, that's true all the time. I mean, to be fair, Ru's in the workroom and basically drops hints and has even said in this very season, I told you, I said this.
Yeah.
Asia.
Yeah.
And Beyonce in the match game. So,
yeah,
I don't know. I just didn't think it was enough. I agree with comments that it was a filler episode, or some of it was filler to get us to where we ended up being with top four.
Top four. All right.
Any other thoughts on the show itself?
Not for me.
Okay. Let's move on. Talk about Snatched, or maybe not Snatched.
Girl, if you're not watching Untucked, you're only getting half the story.
This is where Untucked, in my opinion, gets boring. And I don't mean just because the vixen left the party. I mean because there's less queens to talk.
Yeah.
Eureka always has something to say because she's like me and a bitch never shuts up. At least unless something else is going on. Cracker kind of also wants to talk a lot. Cameron never says shit. And that leaves Asia and Aquaria. Aquaria is very calculated and only wants to talk like very specifically about specific things. And Asia always has a pageant-y kind of approach. There's your breakdown. In this episode, we had a nice little surprise. One of the guest judges, Lena Dunham, comes backstage and has a little like kiki with the girls. So I was quite surprised by that and a little pleased. But before my thoughts on Untucked, for the two of you, what did you two think? Was there anything in particular, Chester?
I got nothing because I tuned the fuck out of it. It was just boring. I was like, okay, well, that was a waste of 25 minutes.
I want my $1.80. I want my $1.99 back. I
already bought the season, so it's free.
Although you bring up a point, you're like, can I get a refund on an episode? That would be some shady shit. Could you imagine if Apple allowed you to like get refunds on episodes? You'd be like, I didn't like this one. I'm taking it back.
Yes, but yeah, I kind of agree with you. I wrote something down because I always feel like I have to say something. And the only thing I really got out of this is the like I wrote Cameron is feeling it. And like, because the thing and the reason I mentioned this because the only thing I wrote down a lot was Cameron, because that's what I wrote. Like that was kind of like not really the focus of the episode per se, but that was one of those things I kept going back to. She was, she's frustrated because the judges aren't seeing what she like is doing. She's feeling bad about everything else, and everyone's feeling like everyone's kind of tired of her always being quiet and feeling bad about herself. She's trying to do she tried to be more than just a pretty queen. So she's tired of the judges always feeling like she's just pretty, you know, and then she's bitter. And I wrote bitter because I feel like she knows what's going on, and she knows how she's feeling like she's in the bottom. And I know she feels like she gave her all, and I can respect that. And I liked her looks. I didn't love them. But the last thing I've realized is Cameron was feeling it so much that she totally forgot. She totally didn't even notice that Lena Dunham not only came backstage, but sat down, talked with the queens, had a drink with the queens, and even left and walked right past her both times. And it's just like, girl, like, I know, like, you can get in the zone and you're the lip sync assassin or whatever, but like, you could have at least like said hello to, you know, this woman that showed up behind background.
Which gets to my thoughts. Snubbing the celebrity.
Oh yeah.
I hope for Cameron's sake she sent an apology to Lena Dunham, because I think that's what a person raised right would do out of manners. That's what I think a person would do, because I don't think she had good manners when the celebrity came back and left. She and Cameron can claim all she wants that she never saw her, didn't know she was there. I was like, are you kidding me? Because all the rest of the queens end up talking to her, having a little kiki. She even drinks Cracker's drink, who said she only had a sip from it. So then Lena's supposed to drink it. But I noticed when Lena got up and left, the amount of the alcohol or the whole entire beverage was exactly the same as when she picked it up and took it from Cracker. So I was like, maybe it was just a shitty drink, and that's why Cracker wasn't drinking it. And then Lena had a sip. It was like, this is nasty. This weird, all the orange juice settled on the bottom, and like the like water or Sprite or whatever the fuck it was on the top floating. I don't know. It was very strange to me. So I was like, yeah, okay, there's something wrong with that drink. When Lena don't drink it and Cracker don't drink it, I was like, yeah, I wouldn't drink it either. I'd be like, oh, take it away. So yeah, I was like, I can't believe that Cameron just did that. I was so irritated. Like, I'm surprised nobody said, well, why would we tell Cameron to pay attention? It's the drama of the situation, because we're talking about it now. I'm like, I can't believe that Lena walked right past her and she never said anything. And even Lena, this is my favorite part about her. Like, I've never watched her show Girls, but I'm aware of her, aware that she's very like positive towards women, and that she struggled with like mental health and her like physical, like, you know, body issues and how she's perceived and all this kind of shit. Right. So I'm like, yay, good for you. Women power. And then I loved how she handled herself backstage, because she even made a comment about Cameron focusing on her lip sync. And then when she left, she just gracefully walked past her and didn't make a moment of it, like to wave goodbye, like to get her attention, like, hey, look at me, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Like, she just went right out. And I was like, that's a lot of class for a person who wasn't really a celebrity, like being raised as one. I mean, her parents, from my understanding, in New York, are kind of locally well known. But I was like, wow, that's a really good way to compose yourself, to kind of come in and basically get brushed off by a competitor, like in a competition that you're judging. And then, so I thought she snubbed the celebrity, and I was like, I'm not sure that was such a good move. So I would like, if now after she's watched it and she realized how much of a CUNT she looked like, maybe she should send her a apology. That's I thought. Well, I mean,
no, I'm reading. So Eric posted in the chat. He says all the fans literally have read Cameron so bad this week, she shut down comments on her Instagram.
Oh,
yikes.
Well, that's not quite the same thing as a trend, like as a complete sidebar. It's really shitty, right? What's happened in the past, months, about how fandom decides to turn against people who become celebrity and basically force them off social media, which is what I'm relating that to a little bit. That's pretty crazy. Although Eric also said, which cracks me up, he said that he died when Lena basically asked, is there a tension when you come back here after a question of who should go home?
Yeah. And just before that, we had the whole like Ms. Cracker and Asia like drama. Not really, it wasn't drama there, but it was more like Ms. Cracker felt like Asia should apologize for calling her not a star, which I can understand why you would want someone to apologize, because that was really cutting deep.
So this happens every single season, though, right? We get to this point, and Rue asks the question.
Mm-hmm.
You know, who should go home? So amongst the three of us, I'd like to know what the two of you think on this issue. Do you think they should just be gut punch honest, or should they craft an answer because of the cameras and the media? You know what I mean? And I don't want to say be Pollyanna about it, but you know, because I think there's like, it's either one or the other.
Repeat that.
So do you think if when the queens get to this point, because it comes up as a point of debate every season.
Who do you think you should go home?
Right. And you ask the question, do you think the queen should be 100% authentic from the gut, regardless of how it gets taken or comes across? Or do you think they should, I guess, basically play the game in how they select their answer?
Well, we kind of went through this a few episodes ago when the Vixen was still on there, and everybody said, look, this person did the worst this week. This is how I think the voting should go. Another person has said, you know what? This person over here is my biggest competition. If they're out, that means I'm that much closer. And then you've got the Vixen who says, fuck all that noise. I don't like this bitch. Get rid of her.
Right.
So I think it should be, I don't think anybody is not being honest with their answer to that question.
Uh-huh.
I don't necessarily want to say that they're manipulating their answer to make them seem better on TV. I think it's a combination of both of those. I think they're being honest with a little bit of reservation so they don't look like a bitch.
Yeah. Yeah, I've
except in Vixen's case where she's like, I don't like Eureka. Fuck that core. Get her out of here.
Yeah. I kind of like Ginger in the chat kind of said it best to me. Like, they should be honest but conscientious. And I totally agree with that. I think that I would rather they be honest than play the game, as it were. Because to me, if you're saying things that you feel like, well, give you like some kudos points or whatever with the judges or whatever, then you're not really being authentic. And that can probably show more of your character than being honest with someone about like why you want them to go home. Like, but I still feel like Aisha kind of cut a little too deep for me. But that's just because they're all stars. Anyway, but like to me, there's a
put them that high.
Well, we've got to see them.
Miss Banshee. Anyways,
stop.
Well, there's been times in the past where that question has been posed. You know, who do you think should go home and why? And people have said, hey, this queen, while she's good, I don't think she has the chops to be here just yet.
Yeah.
They're just now discovering their potential, their maturity. Maybe if you bring them back, they can go, they'll be able to do better. But right now, I don't think they have it. Yeah. And I think that's a very truthful and honest answer.
Yeah. And I agree with that. I think that there should be like a respect for the competition, a respect for that you're all kind of competing for the same thing and the same goal, but a definite like honest factor. Cameron said Aquaria, and the reason she said it, which is the thing I hate the most, and I think Eric or Philip, one of the two, kind of says it too, is the whole like biggest competition thing. I feel that is such a cop out, because to me, yes, she's your biggest competition, but why? Why is she your biggest competition? Is it because she happens to be winning challenges? Is it because her looks are always so on point? Is it because you feel like she's better than you? Like, I'd rather you say that than say she's my biggest competition. Like, fuck that shit. That's a very pageant bullshit answer to me.
So you think they should give specifics?
I feel yeah.
Which is funny because actually, someone can call me on this. I don't know if the judges have ever clapped back or actually asked for clarifying on the question, which is really what that comes down to. If Rue, if a queen was to say, well, she's my biggest competition, and Rue immediately, or most likely Michelle, because she's the evil judge.
Yeah.
If Michelle was to say, why?
Yeah.
Why is she your biggest
No
competition?
too vague. Sorry.
Oh, so we're going to take a page from the Vixen's book and put her on the judges panel. Yeah, so my feeling on it is I think it's interesting. The last thing that Eric said in the chat was, I don't think they need to tear someone down, but just a good punch of honesty. Now, Eric, your last part of the comment I don't necessarily agree with, which is gotta at least stay in the run for miscongeniality. This is I'm gonna talk about the last part first, and then I'll go back. Fuck miscongeniality. After the bullshit that happened last season with Valentina and how the queens were like, no, you are not congenial. You are not miscongeniality. You are fucking fan favorite. And then we come back for season 10 and apparently someone's going to win congeniality. And I'm like, screw this whole thing. I have disrespected now this whole concept because WoW Presents had an opportune platform to change the title because of what happened last year. They basically got their ass handed to them and they didn't learn from it. So now I'm like, well, screw it. So that being said, now that I got that off my chest, I understand what he's saying. Like, I think they should be honest. Here's the thing that about, like, we kind of use the Vixen as our litmus test, I guess, of honesty this season. And yeah, she was dramatic, but that's the thing is, like, what I don't like is Cracker's been out of shape because of what Asia said, yet they don't have a conversation. Now, and because, spoiler alert, Cracker went home, they can't have that conversation.
Also true.
And that's another thing that's a little odd about the show, is because they don't really give them time to process, I guess, or it takes a while. So like Aquaria popped off and got out of line and Asia called her out. And then the next day or whatever, Aquaria eats humble pie and apologizes for her attitude. You know what I mean? And I'm just kind of like, yeah, I understand it takes time to like admit when you make mistakes. Lord knows I've done that in my life, but it just bugs me the way it kind of came across. And like, so now it's not on camera, I guess. And I'm just like, I personally didn't have a problem with what Asia said. And I can understand that it upset some people and it bothered Cracker, but here's what it really comes down to. Not that she's going to watch the show, but Ms. Cracker, if you have confidence in yourself and you don't have doubt, you give no fucks about what anybody says. As Rue talks about, if they ain't paying your bills, then you pay them no mind. Is Asia paying your bills? No, she's not. Not to my knowledge. That would be kind of weird. So what she says about you doesn't matter. Yes, she's your sister. And I think that's a part of the flavor of the Vixen that I kind of liked, is this whole where some of the queens come into the show and they're like, fuck this whole kumbaya business. I'm here to win. So like, does anybody really ever bitch about Detox? Not much. But she pretty much was balls to the wall the whole time. She was consistently like, crown it, like, get out of my way. I'm the winner. Give me the money and the crowd. Like, and then she didn't win twice, but she still has a career. So, and she still has that attitude. And that's the part that just kind of bugs me a little bit, is like, you're pissy because it bothered you because it hit a nerve, and it must have hit a nerve because maybe you feel that there's some truth to it. Does it suck? Absolutely. Does it suck more because it happened in front of millions of people all across the world because it was on camera? You betcha. I hate that I just said that because I think of Sarah Palin. Fuck. So I don't have a problem with it. I think it should be bold and blatant and honest. And the problem is it never will be. Why? Because there's cameras and they're recording their whole thing. So unless you've already got that attitude where you just where you really don't give any fucks, then you might actually say something nice. But
yeah,
I don't know. I just want to know what you guys thought, because it frustrates the hell out of me when we get to this point, because I feel like no one's ever really being authentic when the question gets asked. And my thought is, the question's coming. Like, I get that the queens are like, well, we didn't know it was coming then. Well, duh. Like,
yeah.
How often does anyone ever say to someone else that type of a question in their life? You know what I mean? It really walks up to them and is like, hey, do you think I deserve to live or die? I mean, it's not quite that dramatic, but it's pretty shocking, I guess, or whatever. So enough about that. Let's move on, if we're all right with that.
Ladies, this is your last chance. Impress me and save yourself from elimination. Time has come. You lip sync for your life. Good luck, and don't fuck it up.
I spent so many years watching RuPaul use her front two teeth and her bottom lip to make F and fuck it, and watch shows that were censored. I honestly never thought that word was ever recorded ever, until I found out you could buy uncensored versions on iTunes. Ding. And then you could listen to RuPaul say fuck all season long. Anyways. That said, Chester, for snaps and eye rolls, you got some good points and bad points of the show, right?
Yeah.
Okay. No, I was being silly because we seem to be pretty pissy about the show overall.
No. I enjoyed both of Cameron's looks. I don't necessarily know if one was a good and one was a bad, but I appreciated the looks overall. I really liked her makeup in her evil look. I thought that was really well done. The attention to detail was spot on. For my eye rolls, I despised Aquaria's look. And I think what it was it was very plain, and the missing arm just threw me.
Like the nice look.
It was her nice look, yeah.
Yeah.
She came out and I'm like, wow, that's really plain. And then they were making jokes about her only having one arm on it, and I was like, it's just fucking ugly.
That shade fan.
No, this is my little fan. See, I just got a little basic black fan, and then I got the big ass shade fan. But I didn't really think it was shady. I thought that Chester's being very honest.
Yeah.
Before you say something, David, I will completely agree with Chester on Aquarius' nice look, and here's why. Yes, it was asymmetrical. It didn't necessarily make sense. The seafoam light minty green did not portray well under the lights of the stage. It pissed me off that it went, because later when you watch Raja and Raven's review show, you get to see the real colors of the outfit. And I'm like, oh, it's kind of like Easterish. But then I have a problem with the construction of the outfit. Aquaria ain't got no tits. Her outfit is supposed to have a boob. It's supposed to have a left boob. But it's a pyramid that's been flattened because she didn't put a cutlet or anything in it. So for that, I say, fuck that noise. And then over here, this is the part that goes to the sleeve. And then this has a weird pleat. I think it's because you were trying to compensate for the fact that you don't put tits in. I don't know what that was. That also was a problem for me. So, yes, I agree with the Chester a little bit on.
Yeah,
Aquarius' nice look was that.
I will say one of the favorite things I liked. I've talked about Cameron's looks off and on in the Entourage chat and on here, and one of the things I will say I loved that the wigs essentially were not on her head. They looked as though they were connected to the hood of the outfit that she was wearing. At least I know at least the tribal one was, because when she takes it off, like you can see the hair still connected to it in Untucked. You can see it. So it was just one of those weird things that are like, oh, and that's not the first time I've seen that a queen do that. It's just I just found it very interesting that it kind of, because you want the hair to obviously be more up front with the hood, but you still want to wear the hood, so you kind of have to figure out how to do all that. And kudos to Cameron for that. So for me, my snaps are actually to Asia and North Korea. I thought when I got it, as soon as she stepped out on stage, that the good goody two shoes kind of look was very much like colorful and bright, and I loved the balloons and the whole idea concept behind it, and the hair bow. It all it worked. It was very cute and fun, and very much her like full on kind of, to me, pageant kind of way. It was a very like showgirl kind of pageant look. And then her opposite side, the balloons kind of stayed there. I like that she had the orange balloon and she let it go and it, flew off backstage. I like that she was holding the deflated, darkened balloons and the no hair, the dark makeup, the way the outfit kind of fell on her. And I like her, to me, honest, open portrayal about, her inner demons or whatever. Of the queens, I think she's the one that got the challenge the most, which is why eye rolls. Aquaria's win, I thought, was bullshit. I don't think she should have won. As you guys have mentioned, you weren't a big fan of her good girl or good twin look. I was not a fan of either look. I thought they were overstated or understated. Both one was understated and one was over the top. So the purple lavender minty Easter bonnet bullshit was crap. It just I didn't get it. I didn't like it. The only thing that she had going for her was the fact that she had a very thin thing, and she definitely tucked really, really well. That's the only thing I liked about it. Her other look just felt, again, disjointed. You've got this animal print on top of another animal print, ocelot, which we find out is the print, one of the prints. Yay. And then you've got these bones. You've got the spine and you've got this bone mass, and it just and when she comes out, she's got the apron on with the blood on it, and she's taking off these gloves. I didn't get it. I don't get it. It felt disjointed. It felt stupid. It felt weird to me, and I don't think she should have won, because to me it just felt like, what was so awesome about it? The only reason, and I'm gonna say it, the only reason she won is because Rue said this was her favorite, or one of her top favorite runway looks ever. Comparing it to Raja and so many other people who have done some very awesome fashionable looks on the runway, she compared it to them and called it her top favorite look. And I was just like, okay, that's a choice. I just did not like it. And
yeah,
maybe I'm not a fashion forward person, and maybe that's why I don't like it, but who knows?
So Drew said in the live chat, I thought she was auditioning for the new Predator movie. Oh man.
Wow.
Drag queen Predators on the runway. It's funny because I was so focused on how much I didn't like her good queen look. So for her evil queen, I was like, I remember what she was wearing. And then you were talking about it. And I was like, oh yeah, that weird voluminous animal print with the bone on the outside, whatever the hell that shit was. I bothered very much by the fact that everyone's like, "Oh, it's so fashion," and I'm like, "No, it isn't. If it was made out of trash bags, would you call it fashion? I don't think so." So I kind of take an issue with that. All right, my snaps and eye rolls. I had a hard time coming up with snaps and eye rolls, and then I realized like my favorite thing out of all of the entire episode and Untucked combined was the stupidity of this pun. And it comes from Eureka, and she says she shakes her ocelot.
Oh.
Ocelot shakes her. Ocelot should be a drag queen name. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage, Shakes Her Ocelot. Now, she'd have to be like a big, juicy booty girl, and she'd have to do a lot of facing backstage with a lot of twerking, but it's a thing. That's the thing. I thought it was a really stupid pun, but it was funny. And then what bothered me the most is that Aquaria got up and attempted to do it. And I was like, girl, you have too much tool. Nobody could see your little skinny ass as it is. Like this, no. Did not play well to camera. Eye rolls. Predictability. I think we're being fed like who is tops and who is going to be head to head and blah blah blah. So Cameron made it this far. Miss Cracker went home. So how many times do we have to hear from Eureka? Ooh, the Tennessee girl's got to make it to the top. We keep playing that in the edit, so that makes me think that obviously we have to be fed that. Have to pay attention apparently to that. So yeah, I'm kind of tired of that, I guess. Are we ready to get to last call?
Yeah.
Gentlemen, start your engines and may the best woman win.
All right, so may the best woman win. I am going to say this real quick, Chester, before you say something. Last week I went on a rant and I read RuPaul for Filth. Actually, not RuPaul. I read the designer, probably Zoldy, for her outfit on the runway because I had major issues because I thought that the corset midsection was totally fucked up, and I'm still not forgiving anybody for that. This week, however, we again got a opposite colors, opposite sides thing, and for once it actually all the pieces were properly proportioned between the pink and the bluish green sequence, whatever was going on thing. The only thing I didn't like about it was the zipper that apparently went all the way from the floor up to her chest. I don't know if you realized that that was a zipper, but it was like a gold zipper the entire way up, and it really bothered the shit out of me. I was like,
she wants to get out of that thing.
I get that zippers are in outfits. They bug me when I could see them in the back, but this was even more like, this is awkwardly apparent. So, you know, you can buy zippers in colors. You probably could have color coordinate them so they blended in. But anyways, this coming from someone who's never made a garment in his life. So there you go. Enough of my rant. Chester, your last call. Thoughts on the...
Man. I'm over this season. I've checked out of the season a long damn time ago because none of these girls are captivating to me. None of the people that I think could have progressed and elevated their drag show to show are around anymore to be able to do that. So we're just kind of stuck with everybody at their, you know, I don't necessarily want to say it's their A game, but I think this is the best that they're going to be able to do. If that makes sense. Like,
that makes perfect sense.
So the people who have gone home went home because they fucked up on that particular challenge. And they went up against somebody in the lip sync that kicked them out. And the people who have stayed or who are left are there because they've coasted by, or this is the best that they're going to be able to do. Like, I had high hopes that Miss Cracker was going to do better, but this was the, you know, I don't want to say this particular episode was the best that she could do, but we've seen her best, and it was never going to get elevated past that. Whereas there's other queens, like Monet Exchange, for instance. I have a feeling Monet would have continued to elevate every episode.
I will say this about Cracker. What's really fucked up is that I think her very first week was her best ever.
Yeah.
Because it didn't even seem like Cracker. It's almost like she had an out-of-body experience for 1 week, and then we found out who Cracker really was. Because I thought in the very first episode, every time I look back, I keep thinking Cracker is Aquaria. And this isn't shade about them looking alike. This is literally because it was so good.
Mm-hmm.
And then she just kind of did this.
Anyways, it just came back up eventually. I keep going, Chester. Go ahead.
That's kind of it. I mean, you take, since we're talking about Miss Cracker, you're right. She did start out really strong and towards the top for me, but she never got better. It never got elevated. Same thing with everybody else. I'm kind of tired of Eureka's looks. If this is the best that we're going to get from Eureka, she shouldn't be there. There should be other queens who are there who go through each episode learning how to elevate themselves. This is the best version of myself. How can I make it better? And I honestly feel that some of the people that would have been able to do that are no longer here. So we will never be able to tell if they would have made it to the end or not.
Yeah. I totally feel that. I actually it kind of goes into my thing. I feel like I said something is missing, and that's kind of where I feel. Like I feel like this is we've talked about it over and over on this podcast. How this was supposed to be season 10. This was like given us, like pretty much thrown at us, like this is going to be the best, and this is awesome, and it's 10, and da 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 da, and all this shit. And I feel like I've never fully gotten that. I feel like there's an edge that the queens are like not going over. I feel like I don't mean like necessarily coasting per se, but I feel like there's so much that queens should be doing at this stage of the game, at this stage of the season, at this stage of the show in general. Like there shouldn't be any excuses for not knowing how to do certain things. There shouldn't be any excuses for not being prepared for what you're going on. I get sometimes we now know that finances are apparently another factor, and fashion is kind of a forward thing for this show, which I feel again is bullshit. I don't like this whole like fashion edge kind of going on. I get that it's a runway, but it's a drag runway. So let's keep the drag in Drag Race for the love of God. And again, the other side of it was I feel like we're being forced to acknowledge someone. I feel like we've already know who's going to win. I feel like there's not going to be any ifs, ands, or buts about it. And that's the problem I think overall that I'm having is that, and maybe that's why this season, so like not so much in the beginning, but like recently, I feel like we're going towards this goal and I already know what the goal is. And because I already know what the goal is, I'm not as invested or as interested as in seasons past. And while I get it's a show and it's a production and, I get that, but it's nice to have that possibility of something changing or something being new or something being different or unique. I would have loved if I totally agree with Chester. Like one of the things I dislike the most is that I feel like there are queens that could have done so much more. I feel like a Monique Hart, Monet exchange, I feel like got shortchanged. um, um, when they left, I felt like they could have done a whole lot more. And I feel like if they had been given an opportunity to continue, they would have done excellent. I feel like they would have potentially done really well in this challenge, especially Monique, who we know has this very, I'll use the word repressed side of her, from her background, and would have been very interesting to see how she would have done in this kind of challenge where you have to face those inner demons. I think we've all kind of talked about it enough. I feel like we're being forced to, that Eureka's going to be the winner. And the main reason I feel like it's being forced is because everyone is kind of saying it's being forced down our throats. Eureka has been forced into our lives, into Drag Race. And I'm not necessarily hating it, but I'm kind of ready for the end. Like, I don't really need to see the next couple of episodes. I just need to see the finale, which we know is already taped. Like, I just want to be like, okay, like, I don't need to see this next episode. Let's just, crown a winner and move on.
So that kind of gets me to mine, where I said top 3 or top 4. And here's why I say it this way. Because what you were just saying, I think, is the question. Do we really need next week's episode? Because here's my prediction. Either nobody goes home, which results in the top 4 theory I have, or somebody goes home and then we end up with a top 3, which means I guess we're not doing the live lip sync next year or for the finale, because that would be an odd number. And how do you make them lip sync unless you do one round and one round only where they all lip sync together simultaneously, or best of 3, so the 3 queens that are on the top have to do it 3 times? I don't know. Like, I guess there's too many variables, and that's where we're not sure, so we should just get straight to the finale.
Yeah.
I really don't know what's going to happen this next week that's really going to shake anything up. Here's what I hear coming from both of you that just occurred to me. I think the reason why season 10 has annoyed us to this point is because all the character growth arc contestants are gone.
Yeah.
So Cameron has been pretty consistent since day one. She is a look queen. She is a fantasy style queen. And that's what we've gotten pretty much all the time. Asia is a pageant queen, and we've pretty much gotten that all the time. And I don't mean that as a negative. I mean that as she is polished. She is well knowledge. She knows how to be what needs to be when it has to happen. Aquaria is a very lucky young queen who is very fashion forward, conceptual, and paints pretty good. So she's done well that way and hasn't fallen on her ass basically in hardly any challenges. So that's how we end up where she is. And then we get Eureka, who I think people might be a bit bitter about Eureka getting to here because she was already in part of another season, which I know people think gives her way too much of a lead on this season and how to be a Rue girl and to travel and all that kind of stuff. So it gives her, far too much preparation, like 1 or 2 laps ahead of everybody else, basically, to use a race metaphor. And she faltered a little bit. It was just because she doubted herself and she was able to do better. But then I don't really see a whole lot of like character arc out of her. She's just kind of performing at this one kind of high level. And that's the problem I have now, is thinking about it, of like all the characters that I think the cast members, the contestants, the queens that I think we were more attuned to are the ones that we saw greater struggle and hope for them to get more out of it. Monique comes from not a heck of a lot. It was basically stitching and bitching everything together to make it as far as she did. Monet is incredibly well known in New York from what I'm gathering, and everybody, really felt that she could have gone the whole distance, but she kind of didn't. And it's not to say that she's not talented. It's just kind of the way it fell together. And, Cracker was the one I think that had the most opportunity. Regretfully, she kind of fell into what I think a lot of queens do, which is they're blind to what's happening. I guarantee when her review with the Jew comes out, she will open up about the fact that she just didn't get it. And now that it's over, she can see what her own problems were.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, and I think had the Vixen been able to stay in longer, if she wasn't being browbeaten by the other queens in a way for her personality and stuff, I think she might have been very challenging to get to the end. I don't know. So
I think, well, that would have been a very interesting top 5.
What's that?
Monet, Monique, Cracker, Vixen, maybe top 4. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just felt like that. I would have. I know that sounds weird, but I probably would have liked that top 4 better than I like this current top 4.
If
not
you really
to
want to
count, not to discount the top 4 that we have, but as a viewer, I would have liked to have seen that top 4 than what we have.
If you wanted to use an old trope kind of thing that they've done in the past, what would have been interesting for this next coming week is if they had taken those 4 queens and brought them back, and one of them could have come back in the competition. Even though most likely it would have turned out we'd end up right where we are anyways. I don't know. Cameron probably can be replaced by somebody, but and I'm not trying to be shitty to Cameron. I don't see her elevating. I don't really see her going anywhere. And while Chester, you had said like you liked her looks. Her looks were good, but my problem is like was kind of said. There was comment kind of about like good versus evil and felt disjointed. What my problem is like I thought it was a lot of good versus bad, not like the penultimate of a good, perfect version of you versus a complete 180 opposite version. That's I think what my problem is with a lot of the queens this week was like, while I get that Eureka wanted to bring Divine to the stage finally, because that's one of her, personifications she looks up to. There was so much alike. Yeah, plaid is plaid, whatever. Because there was a lot of criticism apparently online about that. I just feel like it was a lot of Eureka both times. And what was weird to me is this is going to sound super shady, and I kind of don't give a shit. I think what the hell was her evil name? Euphilthia? Euphilthoria? Whatever the fuck it was. Euphilthior. I think that was more authentic Eureka than her good Eureka was. By personality. This whole like Hamburger Mary hair and the me and no and I was like, really, girl? I'm not necessarily buying that. That's just me. All right. So any other comments before we close?
None from me.
All right. So we will see what happens in the coming week, this Thursday, whether or not we really go down to 3. I don't think we're going to. The math just isn't working out for me. All right. So if you would like to be supportive of us here at the show, we do happen to have a Zazzle store, which is an online store that like customizes and puts logos and shit on things. So I got myself a new shirt. I got myself what's called Wow Pink. It's like Pepto-Bismol pink. It's like really fucking bright and shit. But
wow,
it matches your lips.
Really? I don't have or you mean my other lips? Rude bitch.
Ew.
So yeah, this one's easier to see than the really light baby pink one that I have because it just fades and disappears into it, so you can't hardly see it. Also, you could obviously go to patreon.com/cubsoutloud and you could become a patron there for less than 25 cents an episode or more, depending on what you want to do. We're going to have a patrons only show coming up at the end of June, where we're going to do a live show. And that's going to be on Sunday, June 24th at 4 p.m. The patrons are going to join us on a hangout. And we're going to talk about pretty much anything that they want to talk to Jeff and I about. So that'll be interesting. But there's other ways that you can get in touch with us. You can visit us online at our website /blog, which is cubsoutloud.com. You can send us an email at cubsoutloud@gmail.com. You can also leave us a voicemail message, give us a ring-a-ding at 361-COL Talk. That's 361-265-8255. If you're on the social beats, Instagram, Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter, Google+, YouTube, basically anything, you type in Cubs Out Loud as one word, you will find us. Most of those, it's whatever the norm is /Cubs Out Loud. Tumblr, however, is cubsoutloud.tumblr.com. We really don't put anything about Drag Race in that, so just be warned, it's going to be a lot of penis. Just saying.
That's not true. There's only penis like once a week.
Which is typically when we post. So
We post every day, dear.
We post every day, but I'm very good about not posting just penis every day. It's, selfie type stuff.
So there's not a lot of boom dick.
Yeah.
Nice callback. So if you would like to join, as we readily talked about, our Entourage social chat, it's very easy. Telegram is the software platform system that we use. If you haven't heard of it, you should check it out. It's a lot like Facebook Messenger. To direct link to that, you would type into your browser tinyurl.com/telegram caps COLDR. That'll get you right in. And of course, if you want to help promote us, give us some ratings, you can do it on iTunes and Google Play Podcasts. You can subscribe, Stitcher Radio. You can give us a thumbs up. If you want to get in touch with any of us to discuss COLDR T-Time or anything else, Chester, where and how and when would they get in touch with you?
You can find me on Tumblr or Twitter under the name The Pup Up There, or various bear dating sites across the net under the name Pup Shutter or Cupcake76.
Damon?
You can find me as Theater Cup 79 on most bear app chats, and also on Facebook. Or you can find me as pup_umbra on Twitter.
And if you want to get in touch with me, it can pretty much be found anywhere online as Garber73. That's GARBEAR73. If you follow me on my Tumblr, not the naughty one, the regular one, I post a lot of stuff I see about drag race stuff. So that being not the naughty one, the naughty one is basically boom, dick. As we've been saying. All right, let's take it to the moon, shall we?
Yes.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.